Thank you for joining us, Eric. I know that you were at the salon. You're in the midst of organizing so many things. And, I just want you to know that your reputation as a business leader in the salon industry precedes yourself. And our boss was actually talking about you and this amazing business model that you have put together that seems to have sort of fared quite well for you as you're in these intermediary stages. So can you tell us a little bit about the business model at your salon?
Yeah, so the business model that I have at the salon basically is just that every stylist who works in my salon was at one point my assistant. So each one gets a year hands-on training, models, basically seeing every sort of scenario that they could see before going on the floor. So that way, every stylist has had the same training, can achieve the same results, do the same services, kind of hit every note, and we can guarantee what they're doing in the salon.
Nice. Okay. And so is your salon a commission salon, or is it a booth renter salon, or what's the structure of your salon?
So right now, all of my stylists are on commission. I think eventually over time, as they start to build, my longest term stylists on the floor have the option to eventually go booth rent if they wanted to, because I'm trying to prevent the situation in the salon of like, they feel like they've got it, they feel like they don't need me anymore, so they move on because they want to make all their own money, which is the mindset of a lot of hairdressers who do work in a commission salon. So I want to let them know, here's your option. This is what, and I've literally broken it down for all of them, like this is what it would cost for you to be a booth rent salon owner, or just to do booth rent anywhere. This is the cost of your product. This is the cost of your sodas, the toilet paper, like all your color, everything included, your tools, foils, everything that I provide. This is what your monthly cost would essentially be. So if you want to go booth rent, you're more than welcome to. Here's what your rental charge will be, but just know that all of those charges will be yours. So I've given them the option, and every single one of them is like, no, I'm good.
It's interesting that you say that, Eric, because I had years ago, I come from California. And so I was booth renter, commission, booth renter. And at one point I did exactly what you're saying, is I outlined the difference between me being commission and me being a booth renter. And what I found is that I made 10% more when I was a booth renter, but then I had to take care of, even that's including all of my, the things that I had to buy, but then I had to, pay for to have my taxes done in a more robust way than simply using my W-2 that I got from my salon owner. And so those things in the end, plus the time it took to do that, actually wasn't worth me staying as a booth renter. And that's why I went back to very, very happily being on commission, because it actually made me feel, in the end, it actually worked out much better for me. And I think that that's an extraordinary piece of advice that you're sharing with those who right now, maybe they're anticipating going into a different model when we come out of this post-COVID, if you will. And
absolutely,
everybody, I'd keep in mind, look at all of the costs, look at even outside of what it costs to be in the salon, whether that's an accountant, etc., and see what makes the most sense for you. Because I do feel like, I'm not sure if I'm one way or the other, or sweets or whatever. I think I can celebrate all of them, but what works best for you, and looking into all the nitty gritty, if you will, I think is super important.
Absolutely. I mean, with being in a commission salon, like you said, with the taxes alone, they don't have to worry about that, because I put their tips, all their credit card tips go on their paycheck with them taxed. So they don't have to worry about reporting any of their tips, because it's already been done for them. So there's no shady business. They don't have to worry about those things. So it just makes it easy.
Yeah, exactly.
I worked in a commission salon the first half of my career, and then the second half I went to booth renter. And there's things like I'm with you, Sherry. They both have their pluses and minuses. I think it's really an individual choice, but there are things I miss from the commission side, like having the salon get you new clients, not being as responsible for you do promote your stuff, but you have that support of the salon. Just all the perks and bells and whistles that happen when you're, like you're a salon owner, the things that you take care of. Then when you go on your own in your own studio, like you're having to take on a lot of responsibilities that you don't have. So for me, it's kind of like where you're at in the journey, I guess, as an independent stylist or working in a salon like that. How many people are at your salon?
So I have 8 employees total.
And you just opened a new location just this year, right?
Yeah, it was actually September of 2019 was our opening of the new location. So when we went into the new location, I had 3 employees like 4 employees, and then to now having 8. So we've expanded quite a bit in just a very short amount of time.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing. And so for your salon before, is there anything that you did differently for your salon when you expanded from a business perspective than you did for the smaller location?
From what aspect are you?
Like, was there anything from a business structural setup process perspective, anything that you thought, okay, if we're going to go bigger, right? Go big or go home. If we're going to go bigger, then how we might need to structure ourselves a little bit differently or implement some new systems. Is there anything for yourself that you needed to be mindful of in that situation?
The biggest thing that I had to be more mindful of was our product usage, honestly. Being in a smaller salon where there's only 3-4 of us doing hair to now there's 8 of us doing hair, product usage and product consumption is huge. And the one thing that we really had to break down is how much color are we really using per service and how much color are we wasting per service? Because when we really started looking at it and breaking it down, we were wasting a massive amount of color that was going in the trash. So I'm actually looking into, as soon as we go back into the salon, even implementing this a step further with looking into like companies like Salon Scale and things like that to really help my business even more. But we just kind of started taking a look like, okay, this is how much color you should be mixing. It should not be more than that. And if you need more than that, it's a charge on the client because they have more hair, so you need more color versus mixing up this mass amount and then half of it going in the trash.
Right. That makes a ton of sense, actually. Over the weekend, we had spoken on Thursday, and then over the weekend, I saw that you had some great posts as it relates to navigating the difficulty that outside of the don't cut your fringe, which, they're going to do it, man, but then they're going to be like, thank God, because then they're going to see, wow, it's much harder than I thought. And now I look like, the characters from Dumb and Dumber. And so it might actually be a blessing. I was saying, I don't know if you caught it over the weekend, but I was a nail tech for 4 years. I did my own nails yesterday, and I got so much stuff. They look good from afar, my friend, but when you get close and when you feel them, you're like, whoa, this is you're Carmen. I need Carmen back. And I'm just so grateful to see Carmen, to pay Carmen, and to tip Carmen a really, really big tip for helping me fix myself. So I think what you have a lot of advice, and I think that I'm wondering if you could just share that with the communities here, just in case they missed it over the weekend on your Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest piece of advice that I can give to anybody sitting out there right now is either go and talk to their accountant, talk to whoever does their, whether it be payroll or does their taxes. If you have a business account at a bank, a lender, anything like that, go sit and have a conversation with them right now, or look up the CARES Act online. There's a lot of funding that has been pushed out to help assist, whether it be the small business owner or the independent contractor right now. So there's a lot of options that are out there. For myself, we just applied for the payroll protection plan. Hopefully, I should be hearing back soon on what it is that I've qualified for, what I'm going to be getting. So know what your options are, investigate them. So for me, like the payroll protection plan, basically what that is it ensures that while we're closed, I'm able to pay my employees and keep them from filing unemployment. And that's essentially how you qualify. You have to present your 2019 payroll, I believe 2018 or 2019 tax returns. There's a few different things that go into it, but you basically have to show this is how much went out in payroll from the month of February 2019 to July of 2019. They take an average of that, times it by 2.5, and that's what the amount of money that you get if you qualify. And that will help you pay your employees for this amount of time that your salon is going to be closed. Independent contractors have a different option as well. They can actually file unemployment right now. And there's even different grants that have been released. I know that I was looking on Brazilian Bond Builders Instagram page, and they actually posted this incredible link. I've sent it to several hairdressers on Instagram, and it's basically like this general all-in-one source for any type of salon business to look up by state what you can apply for, what you qualify for, and how to do it. So I thought that was really cool.
Very cool.
That's great.
Really great.
I have some questions that have been coming in, Eric, that I get on my direct messages are from not renters, but they are commissioned salons. Well, there's two situations. They might be renter, they might be in a commissioned salon, whereby their salon owner, they feel, may not have this information, and either A, is continuing to charge them rent. Maybe they're continuing to keep the doors open because they're allowed to by the government, or they have not yet spoken about any of the payroll being protected if they're a commissioned stylist. And I think there's a bit of, I'd say apprehension for that individual to speak with their salon owner, because they don't want to, they're already in a shaky ground, right, in the situation. They don't want to cause any upset and make their future any shakier. Is there any sort of recommendation from a how to have that conversation perspective that you could share with those stylists so that they could speak with their owners?
So first and foremost, I would hope that at this stage in the game, every salon owner has just made that painful decision, whether your county, state, whatever government it is, whether they've made the decision to shut you down or not. I would hope at this point, everyone can see the gravity of the situation. And so I would hope that salon owners have just made the decision to close. However, if they haven't, you do have options. You can, decide to not go and have that conversation with your employer that you feel like your health is at risk. One of my employees, before we shut down, she gave me a phone call and she was like, honestly, Eric, I'm scared right now. She's pregnant and they don't know the long-term effects that this has on the mother or the baby. And so she called me and she was like, look, I'm just scared. I don't know what to do. We're open, but the government hasn't shut us down, but I'm scared. And I said, babe, stay home. Like, if you're scared, stay home. If you work in a salon where you feel, first and foremost, if you don't feel like you can have a conversation with your owner, you probably shouldn't be in that salon because that's not somebody that you want to work for initially anyways. You should be able to have an open, honest conversation with them about real world topics, especially a pandemic. But moving into, if you don't know what route your salon owner is taking, I would honestly just contact them and just say, hey, I'm sure you have a lot on your plate. I know that there's a lot going on. You own a business. You're trying to figure things out. You're trying to navigate the channels that no one honestly really understands. All of this is so new. I just am curious as to how to protect myself in this situation. Obviously, the CARES Act has come out. Have you looked into that? Do I need to go ahead and file for unemployment? You can approach them with the questions in a way that's not like, I'm filing for unemployment tomorrow. Because if you were to file for unemployment, that could actually affect the payroll protection plan. The payroll protection plan, in a sense, is there to keep you from having to file unemployment. So if you just filed unemployment, that could mess things up. You have to have an open line of communication with the salon owner in order to know what route you need to navigate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Eric, that's really good advice.
I think that the key there that would be helpful in, you know, them feeling comfortable to have the conversation is to say there's a lot of options right now for independents as well as salon owners. The last thing I'd want to do is to go and take action that might cause you to not be able to take action on behalf of the salon. So I'm wondering, do you know what your actions will be? Can we talk about it a little bit so that we can work on this together? And that way, if they have a salon owner, you know, who maybe is a little having a hard time for a myriad of reasons, right? Like, I don't know what every single person's going through, and maybe there's something that's just preventing, you know, sometimes people can get paralyzed by the stress, by the anxiety, and by how much is going on and all of the different choices, that if that happens to be that person, you know, if you are the stylist, approach the salon owner in a way where you're trying to work with them and protect them. And I think that's some really great advice. Thank you so much. I know that we've been getting that sort of those sorts of comments. Is there anything that you're doing to prepare now, not only yourself, but also the stylists, have them doing something to prepare for when the doors open again?
So right now, what I've basically told my stylist to brush up on is any and all state board sanitation, because we don't know what the other side of COVID looks like, you know, and I've said all along, people are so scared of the unknown. People are, you know, we don't know enough about this yet to really say this is what the other side of COVID is going to look like, especially in a sense when you're touching people and using combs and putting them through their hair and you have constant touch. So I've told my stylist to just really brush up on your sanitation. And I loved the thing that Paul said about the theatric of it as well.
Yes.
Like, we may be doing everything in the world right, but if you don't show your guests that you're doing it, they don't know. So I loved the theatric aspect of it, because it's true. You need to take that comb and sanitize it in front of them so they know it's done. I think that's going to be something huge. So I've had,
and you know, like these tidbits of communication you're giving are like just they're so good. Like also with your clients, I know you've been extraordinary at keeping those lines of communication open with your clients, not only yours, but your stylists, you know, in the salon. What advice do you have for people watching today? What have you guys been doing that works? How have the clients been responding to it? And so on and so forth.
So no matter what route you decide to take when it comes to rescheduling your appointments, as long as you're communicating with your guests what that route is, people feel like you care. So for me, when we closed initially until April 4th, which was what the city closed us for, I called all those appointments up to April 4th, called them, we rescheduled them, and I said, hey, if this changes, I'll call you back. I'll call you again. We'll keep rescheduling until we're back in the salon. Because at the end of the day, for me, I want to make sure that myself and my team have clients to walk into. That when we open our doors back up, we automatically have revenue coming back in, and not the, hey, we're open. When do you want to come in?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's scary, because I don't know that we're actually ever going to get a, you know, okay, in 25 days, all businesses are back open. It could potentially be like okay, next week, let's go. So you want to be prepared in the event that they announce at any moment you can go back to work. So we've been calling every single client. We got pushed to April 30th now. So now we have every client through April 30th rescheduled into May, June, and July. Now, what I have been doing is I've been pushing clients out further than what they want or what they would normally be back in for. So that way we do have some cushion and wiggle room. So that way, if this gets pushed out again, we're not just having this massive load of people to move. My clients have actually said to me, like, the fact that you've now called me twice to reschedule just shows how much you care about your business and you care about each and every client. And that's come from my clients, my stylist clients, everybody involved. But if your option is, and I've seen a lot of this on social, is we're not rescheduling until we know. So for right now, your appointments are all just canceled. That is fine if that is the route that you are taking. But my advice to you would be to be meticulous in whose appointments have been canceled, what days they were booked for, what services they were booked for. Because when you call them back and you say, okay, hey, Joey, what were you booked for? I can't remember. It's always setting that expectation that you care so much about your guests that when you call Joey, you can say, hey, Joey, I'm so sorry. I know we canceled your appointment, but I know that we had you booked for a full highlight, a toner, a haircut, and a Brazilian blowout. Is that what you want to go ahead and rebook for? It sets that level and that standard that you just care so much about them. Even though their appointment was canceled indefinitely until we reopened, you knew exactly what they were getting and that they prefer Wednesdays. Those things matter.
They do. I love that. Well, I love so many things. I've got like 4 pages of notes just from you, Eric.
Right.
And I think that, what we're also recommending for people is to do the FaceTime consultation, right? Because we have this varying degree of client, and we've got some clients who feel so upset about what's happening with their hair and the fact that maybe they have to be on Skype or Zoom or Teams meetings all day long, or how their partner visualizes them. And so it's important for me to tell our stylists to make sure that they're serving the client. And if they have to do something drastic at home, help walk them through that drasticness instead of letting them just figure it out on their own. But then I think the other important thing, which is something Paul alluded to as well, is having that FaceTime consultation. So, to your point, this is what you were booked with before. How's it going there? Have you thought about a change when you come back so that you're fully prepared and you see what's going on with their hair anyway, right? So that you can, because if they've got a very long regrowth, we know that we treat that different than a regular touch-up, and it might take more time, etc. So just one more question from here, and then I want to sort of recap so that if anyone's just joined, they hear as well. But Diane is saying that I love it, she's calling it after Rona 2020. So after Rona 2020, she's going from being commission-based to booth renter, and do you have any words of wisdom for her?
Yeah, just my biggest word of wisdom is really look over your finances during this time and make sure it's something that after Rona 2020, that you're financially in the right place to do that. It's not that I was a booth renter at one point myself, and it's after this extended period of time being off, just make sure that you have your money in order so that way you're not even further behind when this is all done. You need to have all your ducks in a row.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
So just to recap a little, Eric, one of the things is connect with your resources. There were so many to name, but accountants, banks, lending agents, investigate the CARE Act if that's viable for you. Payroll protection plan for indies. Now, our independent stylists, they can now get unemployment. So again, just taking all of the things that you could potentially do for yourself. We will go to the resource that you mentioned earlier that has state by state what those resources are. We'll post them on our individual pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Approach your owner with the questions from a place of I want to work with you together. Or I love being part of this team. Let's talk about what your plans are and see if there's a way I can help support those, sort of helping them make that decision. I love the, sanitize with theatrics. Brushing up on that sanitation. I can just picture myself like that. And then staying connected, reschedule, then reschedule again, or at the very least, make sure you're doing your Facebook FaceTime consultations. I think are all super important things. Please, everybody, continue to follow Eric. He's got not only some great tips as a business owner, a business leader, but also really funny and entertaining, and of course, gorgeous to look at, which leaves me with one final question, because I can't ask you how old you are. What is your skincare regimen?
Please. Okay. Pen and paper for everybody.
So I just turned 30 last month, and I made a huge commitment about 5 months ago. So up until 5 months ago, I used Dove bar soap on my face, and my cosmetic injector, the one who does my Botox and all of that. She had been working on me for months and months and months about not using bar soap. So now I use SkinCeuticals. It's their I don't even know what it's called. I just use it because she gave it to me. But I wash my face with that once a day, and that's it.
Okay, well.
No moisturizer?
No.
No moisturizer. Unbelievable.
I love you, but I
just
hate
so
you.
you know, I could actually be your mom. I literally am old enough to be your mom, but
you don't look it.
thank you. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank Eric for being on
Eric,
with
thank
us.
you so much. Always such an inspiration, and just congratulations on your continued success and just being such an inspiration to everybody. And we will definitely be waiting for your next video. Who knows what you have in store for us next?